is up, my fellow HHN obsessees, and welcome to the HHN Obsession Podcast, where we talk about all things HHN and obsess together over this amazing event. I am your host, JJ, and with me I have the co-host, James.
I'm back again. Consistent James all the time. Never not James.
You gotta do some homework and write some stuff down, man. I bet you the listeners love it every time. I bet you they get a good laugh out of your...
Yeah. Hopefully, because I'm like, oh crap, every time. I'm like, oh yeah, I was going to think of this, but it's fine. There's been apparent news and stuff that I'm not privy to, so I'm
not so much news, but more rumors and speculation. Nothing official, but right now is like the peak of the time where all the HHN fans are really wanting something. Like, it's just that time of year where it's far enough away from Horror Nights and it's been long enough to where they haven't heard anything about Horror Nights, and all this stuff is starting to come out speculation wise and rumor wise. They just want something to talk about normally, and I'm totally fine with that because I want to talk about this stuff. So once again, we're going to be talking about said updates and said rumors here. This might be the earliest we've ever recorded, James. It is currently 7 in the morning where we're at.
Early in the daytime hours, you mean? Not early in the
season?
In
the daytime hours, yes.
Well, as far as the seasons go, like what's this forecast? Like, is it early in the season's expected?
Good question. So yeah, like I said, this is the time where people start to be, anxious for Horror Night stuff. So usually around this time, there's always a speculation map that comes out from Horror Night Nightmares. Also, in the past, March is usually pretty common for the very first house announcement for Horror Nights. But nothing yet. So everyone is patiently waiting. However, there is theories of people saying that we might not be getting that much HHN announcements this year. It might be way later because Universal's marketing is kind of weird. They never market a bunch of stuff at the same time, or never advertise a bunch of stuff at the same time within the same week or same day. There's a lot of stuff that they need to announce this year. First of all, there's Epic Universe that they need to heavily promote this entire year because it's opening next year. They have the new Kid Zone, the DreamWorks Land, opening sometime this summer, apparently. There's also a new Lagoon show that is being worked on that's supposedly going to be opening this summer as well. And then there's also a rumored parade. So a bunch of stuff that they need to be announcing soon in between all the Horror Night stuff. But anyway, to answer your question, yeah, this is usually when we start hearing things normally. But with this year being so chaotic with other announcements that they should be doing, we may not be getting something in March. Hopefully, at least with all these rumors coming out, Horror Night Nightmares will be releasing a spec map soon, and we'll do an episode on that once it's released. So,
are there any, because the speculation map comes after, you scoop enough rumors together. But any of those rumors, like, do they have legs from the start sometimes, like any
for sure. Yeah. Usually when Horror Night Nightmares releases their first version of the spec map, there's usually some stuff on there that ends up being in the final event. So sometimes the names are off and, the idea is partially wrong, but there is some stuff that is accurate. So they do have a lot of insider information. All right, so let's get into a couple of park updates real quick before we get into the juicy Horror Night stuff, Horror Night rumors. So first off, something that popped up right after we recorded the last update. That just keeps happening. There is a big rumor going around that Fast and Furious is going to be closing during Halloween Horror Nights. So apparently, at the end of August, it will be closing, and it won't be opening until the beginning of November. So, because of that time frame, they think it's for Horror Nights. Of course, they've been having a haunted house in part of the queue of the ride, but that hasn't stopped them from keeping the ride open during the day the previous years. So, what's going on more than likely is right now, Universal is unfortunately doing a lot of budget cuts because of how much money they're spending on building Epic Universe and then all the other stuff that they're working on in the other parks. So, closing down everyone's least favorite ride, the most hated ride probably in all of the Universal parks, including around the world, is probably not the worst idea ever.
And we're talking temporary, like just during the.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because there is some speculation that this could be a permanent closure just because it's not worth it to them to keep open. The problem with that is it 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 totally bums me out when they do stuff like that because there's already so many places in the park that are just lying dormant. First of all, Fear Factor Live, that stadium is only used for Horror Nights, and then it sits empty the entire year. The problem with that theater is they can't really tear it down to build something because where are they going to put the show? I feel like that's the only reason that thing has stayed there is because there's nowhere else to put a big show. So they've kept that up. I just don't know why they just can't put another daytime show in there that they can shut down during Horror Nights. But there's that. You go to Islands of Adventure, there's an entire land that's just sitting there basically. Lost Continent. There's a theater there that's not used, and then there's an attraction, Poseidon's Fury, that isn't used. Then you go around to the other side of Islands of Adventure at Toon Lagoon, and there is another amphitheater there just sitting empty. So there's a lot of just empty things that are just sitting there, and if Fast and Furious is another thing that's just going to sit there, it's not a smart move. If they are going to close it permanently, I hope it's to change it. But with the budget cuts, I doubt it right now. So, but I also kind of doubt they're going to close this ride permanently. A lot of people think it'll be seasonally to just cut down cost.
I don't hate it. It's just kind of bland, I mean, you think with Fast and the Furious, you could do a little more than like a highway and a helicopter kind of, chase, and then they're hanging off sideways talking to you, and you can hear them full volume clear, like through the whipping winds and the engines. Like, haven't they've done crazier stuff, right? They've done like torpedo and space stuff. I don't know. I'm not into that stuff, so I wouldn't know. You probably would know better. But like, I think they could offer more than what the ride does. But I'm not torn about it leaving.
I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, I want something better in that part of the park. Anywho, that is the talk. Fast and Furious, and this one seems to have a lot of traction. There's just so many people talking about it. I'm pretty sure it's happening. Sometimes you can kind of tell which one is really happening and which one isn't. This one is just being heavily talked about, so I feel like this one is real. This is happening as far as it closing during Horror Nights. After that, I have no idea. But and while we're on this topic of them doing budget cuts, something we didn't talk about last time was the Kong ride at Islands of Adventure got its 3D taken away and is now 2D.
Yeah, I heard that, and I was like, "What they do? They put the big gorilla in a trash compactor? How they flatten the big statue? Like how you un 3D a statue? You squish it? I was confused.
It is too early
King
for
Kong,
this, man.
dude.
It's too early for this. Okay, so Fast and Furious is a 2D ride, and it's basically the same ride except Kong is way better when it's in 3D. There's a lot of extra elements that Kong has, but it's a ride that needs to be in 3D. It was designed to be in 3D. There is no reason that it should be put down to 2D. I've heard that the reviews have been awful. The reaction to this has been just bad, to where I believe I saw somebody say that within a day they took back the statement of them saying that the 2D was a thing and saying that 3D is coming back March 9th, I believe, March 10th, one of those days. So it seems. Oh, and they used the excuse that this was just a test to see how people would react.
That's funny. They immediately backtracked.
I am betting everything that this originally was going to be permanently put down to 2D because of the budget cuts. They didn't have to take care of all those glasses, cleaning the glasses, doing all that stuff. People's
Yeah, but then they burn their hand on the stove. They're like,
yeah. This is just a test. Right. We're just kidding. We're just testing the waters out. Years ago, they did this to Despicable Me Minion Mayhem. I rode that attraction one time in 2D and haven't done it since. That was maybe 3 years ago. Whenever the first year they started doing that. It's not good. If a ride is designed to be in 3D, do not take the 3D away.
Yeah, sounds like someone's buying new plants without watering the old ones, and then they're chopping up the old ones to feed the new ones that they don't even have room for yet. They're just defeating the purposes of the old stuff.
All right. And one more thing that I want to mention before we get to the rumors for HHN is I want to kind of jump back to the tents that we were talking about before. I don't know if anybody has mentioned this, but something that I was kind of thinking of is originally the rumor was the old tents were going to be taken away and a warehouse is going to be built because somebody found a permit. Cut to a few weeks later, and permits for brand new tents are released, and they immediately start building them. They're building them right now. And the rumor then showed up with the parade buildings are not being used as venues anymore. Here's a theory that I think could happen. What if, just for this year, we see the 4 tents? Because the tents can go up really quick. It doesn't take long for them to build those. However, next year, the old tents get taken away and those houses get put into the new warehouse, which would replace the parade building sized haunted houses for next year. So my theory is this year only, we're not going to have those medium sized horror night venues. We're going to have 4 houses. 2 of the new ones are going to be slightly bigger than the old tents. But next year, we'll have that medium sized venue back as that new warehouse, if the warehouse rumor is true and horror night haunted houses are going in there. That makes sense?
Yeah. It's just some juggling of tents and
it's just time, basically. The tents can go up quick versus the warehouse is going to take some time to build. There's no way they're going to have time to build this warehouse and then build the haunted house for this year at least.
Right.
That's my theory. I have no idea if it's true. I actually hope it happens that way because I'm actually going to miss the medium-sized parade building haunted houses. But if we were to get that kind of size back next year using that warehouse, I would be happy. I'd be happy with it.
Yeah, so they're overlapping like construction and removal.
And this is just my theory. I don't think I've seen anybody talk about this situation or this scenario. All right. I totally forgot there's actually one more thing before we talk about the rumors. So, just the other day, there was some really cool looking drone testing at Universal Studios. So they have been creating this new lagoon show, and from what it looks like, drones will be part of the show.
And I hope they're waterproof.
Well, I hope the whole show is waterproof because apparently a hurricane is what destroyed this and they made them create a whole new one.
Oh man.
This one looks way more advanced. This one looks like it has way more stuff. So I'm excited to see what they do this go around, and the fact that they're going to incorporate drones, I think will be a cool touch, and it's going to add a lot more atmosphere to Horror Nights because usually they do a Horror Nights themed show.
I'm picturing the drone show as like the drones are like just violently dunking, like splashing in the water, like they're flying in and out, like they're just like good job drones, like they're doing their best. It looks like they're enjoying themselves. That's all that matters. The drones, they're just like cannonballing like nonstop. That would be scary. I'll give it to HHN. You know, they're planning for some fear.
All right, James, ready to talk about these new HHN rumors?
Yeah, I'm ready. HHN, let's go.
All right, so the new talk around town, the new word of mouth
Give me the chitter
from
chatter.
none
Give
other
it.
than Legacy himself. Him and a couple other users on
Oh.
Discord were kind of going back and forth. Normally, they have a 5 IP, 5 original split for the houses. Apparently, this year is going to be a 4-6 split with 4 IPs and 6 originals.
Oh, 6 originals. I would have thought the opposite. I thought they were gonna like sell out now.
So,
but no.
what Legacy has apparently heard, or at least the main 3 IPs that he's been hearing, are Ghostbusters, which we've already talked about as being a big rumor, which I'm all for that.
Are you leading to a newbie? There's a new thing going
The
on.
second IP that he has been hearing a lot of is something that I've wanted for a long time, and it is way overdue, and I swear I hope this is happening. What do you think it is?
Is Pennywise?
I wish it was.
Oh.
Although that is my number one most wanted IP, this is probably my second. The second IP that Legacy has been hearing a lot of is Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, well, dang. Yeah, that is overdue.
So let me tell you something about this in Horror Nights history. There has been a Nightmare on Elm Street house back in HHN 17, but it was not based off the original movie. It was kind of its own thing in a way, with a little bit of Freddy versus Jason storyline in it. And then in HHN 25, they did a Freddy versus Jason haunted house. But there has never been a house based on the original film. So it is long overdue. Nightmare on Elm Street is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Wes Craven is one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. And when Nightmare on Elm Street came out, there was nothing else like it. Everybody was so terrified of that movie because it's something that is honestly scary. I mean, you can't control your dreams, so the fact that there was this dude invading your dreams and killing you while you sleep was kind of terrifying back then, and still kind of is. So taking something like that and putting it in Horror Nights, I'm all for it. Freddy Krueger is a complete horror icon, and I think it'll fit very well in Horror Nights.
You said that first unofficial thing they did that was based on the property or something. It was like an original.
In HHN 17, it was still a Nightmare on Elm Street house. It was still licensed, but the actual story of the house wasn't really one of the movies. The only thing that was similar to a movie was the fact that in the story of the house, there was some kind of antidote that they were giving these patients to not have dreams so they could, basically escape Freddy and not have dreams. That idea is in Freddy versus Jason. And then later on in 2015 for HHN 25, they did the Freddy versus Jason house.
Okay, so there's
There's
history.
Plenty of stuff to do for this haunted house. All the boiler room, the alley where he has his arms completely stretched out, just Nancy's house, Johnny Depp Johnny Depp's death scene, if they pull that off in a haunted house where the blood is like just splurging out of his mattress, just kind of like they did the elevator blood scene in The Shining. They did something like that for that scene.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot they can do for the original movie. It's the 40th anniversary, so it's going to make sense if they do that one. But I'm also hoping this rumor didn't start up because it's the 40th anniversary and people are like, oh, it's perfect timing for that. And that's where that came from.
Yeah, it gives it some legitimacy to the misdirect.
I'm really hoping this is coming.
They can do a cheese only version of the pizza fries, and that'll be his face.
Hey, they did a Leatherface pie for HHN 30, so they could do something similar, like burnt cheese for Freddy's face.
Yeah, this is gonna be way easier. There's like less face to put on. Yeah, that would have some fun food, huh? Nightmare on Elm Street food list.
That's something we can make a bet on. Let's try to guess what kind of food they're going to have for these certain houses. Whoever gets it right, the other one has to buy them that meal or a drink from that stand.
Can I have time for my... I gotta think of some food predictions.
My prediction, if Ghostbusters is coming, they will have a Ghostbusters drink. And I'm going to guess it's going to be based off Slimer. And it's going to be called...
Right?
A slime ball. I don't know.
I would guess something along the Ecto Cooler Jammers. Like revive that, but make it alcoholic for those old high seas.
Anyway, we're getting off topic here. Nightmare on Elm Street. Any last words? Any...
Yeah, I mean... capitalize on the anniversary.
The merch, dude. I want some Freddy shirts.
Yeah, definitely make some fun stuff. That's an easy one. I mean, if they can do it, they definitely should, and they've touched on it before. Halloween just got the red carpet treatment. Now it's
right.
Freddy's
So
turn.
Lately, they've had a lot of Halloween houses. They've had Chainsaw Massacre. They've had Chucky. It's time to bring Freddy, and also it's time to bring Jason at some point. Jason, I understand right now there's a lot of weird rights stuff going on with Friday the 13th. Hopefully that's going to be solved soon because it would be great to have a Friday the 13th house. Last time there was a Friday the 13th house was the exact same year, HHN 17. That year, HHN 17 had Freddy, Jason, and Leatherface all in that year. And it had Jack as the icon. That's one of the most... no pun intended, iconic years.
That's nice. I thought you were gonna say jacked. You know, that's a jacked cast right there. Jacked lineup.
All right, so now continuing with what Legacy has put on Discord. So he mentioned Ghostbusters, Nightmare on Elm Street as the main ones he's been hearing, and another main one he's been hearing is Universal Monsters Dracula. It's no surprise that they're going to have another Universal Monsters house. I mean, that's been a given the past few years. I'm sure it won't just be Dracula. I'm sure they're going to have a cool original idea with it. If it is going to be Dracula, just Dracula, I hope it's brutal Dracula. He also said that there is a fourth unknown IP. Who knows what that is? But the conversation kept going in Discord. Some random person said... or they asked, was A Quiet Place actually leaked, or the rumor mill has it heavily speculated? Then he responded with, those three, meaning Ghostbusters, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Uni Monsters Dracula, those three have been steady for about 2 months, and then Five Nights at Freddy's was steady until it wasn't. And he said, I haven't heard Silent Hill since early January. So apparently that was a possibility. And then he says he heard A Quiet Place 3 weeks ago. Is A Quiet Place the fourth IP? There is a new film about to come out.
You said briefly there was Silent Hill? Is that what you said?
He said that he had heard Silent Hill.
That's interesting.
Or he hasn't heard Silent Hill since early January.
But he did, and it wasn't noteworthy enough.
Apparently, yeah.
That's interesting. Well, yeah, Quiet Place would make sense.
Would it, though? Because the whole movie is based off of sound. However, this new movie is a prequel, and I think it's more louder because they don't actually know about these monsters at the start. So I think this movie is going to be louder than the rest of them. So maybe it'll be based off the new movie.
Yeah, maybe it's the moment they're starting to attack and people are still like ah, and then getting popped off.
Okay, and then there's one more very interesting part about this whole conversation. This other user named Pinhead, I know more than you. I guess he's another insider. I haven't really heard much about him. He says there is one more IP that he's steadily heard about, but it's not a house or a zone. So, show is what that's alluding to, I'm pretty sure. And then another user said, my guess is that this is in regards to a comedy duo live show that is out of left field but funny. Legacy replied to that as that rumor would make a lot of fans really unhappy. So, right off the bat, I took that, is Bill and Ted coming back? Comedy duo show?
And it would make people unhappy?
I needed to know. I went to the forums and I asked about could this be Bill and Ted? Legacy replied pretty fast and said there is no Bill and Ted rumor. So that's been axed out. But what I didn't actually think about was the part where he said that the rumor would make a lot of fans really unhappy. That wouldn't be the case for Bill and Ted, I feel like. What he meant by that is that it would make all the Nightmare Fuel fans unhappy. That they're going away and a comedy duo show is coming. I am all for a comedy show coming to Horror Nights. I think it's kind of needed almost. I miss it. I miss that aspect. But what could it be?
Have you thought of some comedy duos that could be?
I've tried. I don't know what it could be. I mean, this is not certain, obviously, but if there's a rumor going around that a comedy duo show is coming, dude, I'm excited to find out what that is.
It's Tim and Eric.
I mean, it has to be
No,
somewhat horror themed, right? But hold on. It also says a comedy duo live show that is out of left field but funny. What?
Jay and Silent Bob.
Tenacious D?
Oh, hell yeah. No, there's no way.
I mean, not actually Jack Black. I don't know what else it could be, but it has me excited to know more.
Wolverine and Deadpool. Screw Disney. They're going to rebel and go to Universal. Beavis and Butthead.
I don't know. It could literally be anything. We could guess. We could be guessing here for hours.
Penn and Teller.
You know, somebody did guess that.
Yeah, Penn and Teller.
Yeah, somebody did guess that on the forums, I believe.
Magic wouldn't be bad. I mean, they already got the disappearing mattress.
Penn and Teller had a house, believe it or not. It was in one of the tent locations. I don't think it was loved. I think it was kind of hated, but they have been to the event before. I'm sure we'll find out soon enough. I'm sure the rumors are going to keep on coming. I'm sure the speculation is going to be crazier than ever this year.
It'd be cool if it was Bill and Ted's daughters.
But that would still be related to Bill and Ted, and I feel like...
Yeah, but it would make fans unhappy.
But Legacy said there's no Bill and Ted.
Well, yeah, because they're not going to be there. It's going to be the kids. They're carrying on the torch. They're bringing it back.
I want it more than anything, but I don't think it's happening. Anything Bill and Ted really is probably not happening. But all we can do is wait. I think this year's spec is going to be absolutely crazy. The announcements are going to be very scarce this year. I feel like they're probably going to announce most of it toward the end of summer. But we'll see. The more rumors start popping up, you know, we'll get back on here and talk about them.
Comedy duo.
All we can do, James, is sit and wait and see what happens. See if anything gets revealed or something leaks. Maybe we'll find out next time we record. Maybe something
Sandler and Spade.
That would be cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna be chewing on the duo. Who could it be? I don't know.
Johnny Knoxville and Steve-O.
Yeah.
Well, all right. We're gonna go ahead and end it right here. There is a lot to think about. As soon as something gets revealed, we'll be back recording something new. Hopefully a spec map will come out very soon. We just recorded an episode where we talked about our first 2 years going to HHN 27 and 28. We kind of did a battle episode between those two to see if they are better than HHN 32 or if HHN 32 is king. I'm currently editing that episode, so it's a very long one. It's going to be in 2 parts, so it's taking me a little bit of time, but I'm going to be editing this one first as priority and then going back to that episode. So just be on the lookout for that kind of battle episode. Also, follow us on all social media. We have Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, and we are now on YouTube because Google Podcast is now ending this coming April. So we have transferred to YouTube, and every time we post, it'll go to YouTube. So subscribe to us on YouTube. We don't have very much going on right now, but be sure to subscribe to us over there.
Man, what am I going to do? Google Podcast was my thing. That's like, I live there.
You're going to have to switch over, man. We're on all the other platforms. We got Apple Podcasts, we got Spotify, we got iHeartRadio, we got Amazon Music, we got Pandora. We're in all of those. So
maybe Spotify, maybe iHeart.
But give us a rating on wherever you listen to this podcast. If you listen to it on Apple Music, give us a review, a rating. 5-star rating, please. Hope to catch you guys on the next one.
Smell you later.
1, 2, Freddy's coming for you.
You're damn right. Just wait a while, giving you the hip at your face now. Wait a while, giving you the hip at your face now. Wait a while, giving you the hip at your face now. Wait a while, giving you the hip at your face now. Wait a while.
Hey everyone, just wanted to give a quick shout out to my good friend Zach Weber, who provided our intro and outro song, Heebie Jeebies. You can listen to the full version of Heebie Jeebies on iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, or anywhere where you listen to your favorite music. Thanks for listening.